Salim mitenander. Welcome back. We're now on to Chapter 10 of the Fairy Caravan by Beatrix Potter. The sheep lay quietly chewing their cud. Tuppenny fidgeted. "When will Paddy Pig come back?" "I don't know," said Jenny Ferret crossly. "I am only an old body. I'm wanting my tea." "Ring the bell, Jenny Ferret," said Sandy. She clanged a little handbell up and down. The lambs sprang away, startled. The sheep lay unconcerned. The sheep talked to one another. "A bell. Sheep's bells are sweeter. Ruth Twinter, do you remember the Down Ram telling us about the Cotswolds flocks? How with each flock 2-3 sheep go before, wearing bells? When they lift their heads from nibbling and step forward, the bells ring. Ting, ting, ting. Tong, tong, tong. Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. Why has Mistress Helis never given us bells? She will do anything for a sheep." "I know not," answered Ruth Twinter. "I can tell you from the wisdom of age," said the old blue ewe. 16 years gone by since first she nibbled the clover. "I can tell you it is because we Herdwicks range singly and free upon the mountain range. We are not like the silly southern sheep that flock after a bell-wether. The Cotswold sheep feed on smooth sloping pastures near their shepherd," said the peat ewe blithely. "Our northern winds would blow away the sheep's bells' feeble tinkle. From below grounds to us comes a sound that carries further. Old John calling with a voice like a bell, calling a sheep to hay across the frozen snow in winter." Up spoke a dark Lonsgill ewe. "Each to their own? The green fields of the south for them, the high fell tops for us, who used to wander and find our way alone, through mist and trackless waste. We need no human guide to set us on our way." "No guide, no star, no compass, to set us a bee-line to Eskdale," said the bright-eyed Allenby ewe, her that had knocked her teeth out when she tumbled down Scar Fell. "2 of you Lonscales were runaways in spite of old John's hay. Who can langle the clouds over winds? If we want to come back, we will." "Where was it that they drove you, Hannah Brighteyes?" asked the little ewe Isabel. "Nay, I did not stay to learn its place name. I came straight back to my heath on the fell. It was 8 miles to Cockermouth Market, and 12 beyond." "What short-wooled sheep could do that?" said Habitrot. "It takes strong hemp to langle us." "We want no bells and collars," said Blindy. "They will get us caught on rocks and snags." "A sad death it must be to die fast," said Hilltop Queenie plaintively. "I would not like to be fast like poor little Hoggy in the wood. He had eaten sticks and moss as far as he could reach, but he had not sense to bite through the cruel bramble that held him, twisted round his woolly ribs." "Grown sheep can get crag fast," said Bell Lingcropper. "I was fast in Falcon Crag. I knew each yard of slippery screes and the chimneys or rifts that lead up to the high ledges. A summer drought had parched the herb. Only where water oozed from the rock face it was green. I went up and up, 100 feet, always feeding upwards. Down below, the tree tops quivered in the heat, and the ravens circled slowly. Dizziness is unknown to Herdwick sheep. I fed along a narrow ledge. A rock gave way beneath my feet. It clattered down into the abyss. I sprang across the gap and went on feeding. The grass was longer. It seemed as though no sheep had bitten it. Nor had we. Our turning spot had been upon the stone that fell. I could not turn. I lived 30 days upon the ledge, eating the grass to the bone, parched by the sun and wind. Only a welcome thunder shower brought moisture that I licked on the stones. I bleated. No one heard me, except the raven. In the 4th week, a shepherd and his dog saw me from below. He shouted. I rose to my feet. He watched me for a time, then he went away and left me. Next day, he came again and shouted. I staggered along the ledge. Again he left me, fearing that I might leap away from him to death if he approached too near. On the last day, 3 shepherds came and watched. I was too weak to rise. I dozed upon the ledge. They climbed round the hillside. They came sideways above the crag. I could hear their voices faintly, talking overhead. One came down on a rope. He swung inward onto the ledge and tied another rope to me, a woolly fleece and rattling bones. They drew me up. Still I can feel the hot breeze and smell the wild sage as they slung me past the face of the rock. I was carried to the farm and given warm milk. Within a week I was well. A brave shepherd, truly, one who would go through fire and water and air to save his sheep. Our shepherds face rough times, said White Fanny. Dost remember hearing tell of the lad who parted from his fellow shepherd when the early winter sunset was going down over the snow? The other one came home at tea time, but he did not come. His folks turned out to seek for him. Some went along the tops, others searched below the crags. There they saw marks of a rush, and his collie Bess watching by a snowdrift. Just in time, just and so. Our men take risks with their eyes open. They know that they can't live underneath snow like us. Then Ruth Twinter spoke up cleverly. I and 3 sisters were buried 23 days besides the Dale Head wall. Not to brag on, said Longscale Hugh scornfully. Could you not feel it coming? Or were the gates shut? Nay, they stood open. The wind went round suddenly, after a plash of rain. A fall came out of the east, then it turned to frost. I doubt you were a twinter, or a 2-shearer at most, said the blue ewe. The low east brings the heaviest falls. Indeed, and indeed we were hurrying, said Ruth Twinter. We came down the fell, strung out in single file. I mind me we met a fox at Bluegile going up. Then we met a blizzard that blew us into the wall. A blinding yellow snow of differing powdery flakes. Belle Lingcropper's mother went over a bank into the beck. She was dashed against the stones and drowned. The rest of us cowered by the wall. We were quickly snowed over. It drifted level with the cams. We stirred ourselves under the drift, like the Mouldy Warps and the field voles. Our breath melted the snow somewhat. It caked over our heads, a blue-green frozen vault. We ate all the bent grass that we could reach, all the grey moss on the wall. The dogs found us at last, dogs scratching and shepherds prodding the drift with long handles of their crooks. You would feel it colder when you came out. Yes, said Ruth Twinter, it was warm and stuffy under the snow. Although we came out into spring sunshine, and the air outside felt colder than it did inside the great white drift that lay on the grass along the Dale Head wall. We came out quite lish and cheerful. 2 of us never heard the cuckoo again. Such things will happen, said Ruth Twinter placidly, turning on her shoulder and chewing her cud. Said old Blindy, it is a sign of snow when the sheep come down to the gates. Sing us the rhyme, Hannah Bright Eyes. Oh, who will come open this great heavy gate? The hill fox yaps loud and the moon rises late. There's snow on the fell and there's hay at the farm. Not that us elder ewes reckon much of hay, not unless we had learned to eat it while we were hoggy lambs. You had cause to be grateful to the sheepdogs, Ruth Twinter, said Sandy. Yes, the dogs are our good friends, sometimes over rough, but faithful. They get crag fast too, said Sandy. They do, but they make such a fine hullabaloo that they are more quickly found. There was one that made a bit of noise too loud. That happened in a blizzard. Poor dog. Its position was so bad that it could neither get down nor up, and it could not be rescued with ropes. Its master tried in vain to get it out. It cried on the shelf for several days, in sleet and biting wind. Cried so pitifully that the master said he would shoot it with his own hand before he would watch it die of cold. He went home for his gun. When he was returning with the gun, he met Collie Allen in the road. All dogs are not so lucky. Our Brill's mother got cragged and killed in Langdale. It is always the foremost best hounds that goes over with the fox, said Sandy. Had Brill come back to the farm? Yes, said the sheep. The hunting season is over, but pack is disbanded. The hounds and terriers have gone back to the farms for the summer. If all the terriers are as cross as Twig, they can stay away, said Sandy, shaking his ears. Our collie Nip can tackle a fox. She has led the hounds before now, for the first short burst up the quarry pasture. She can run, can old Nip. Foxes are hateful, said Tibby Woolstockit, stamping. Come here, you lambs, come here. You are straying too far off. Do you remember, Ruth Twinter, when you and I were feeding above Wounddale? We looked over the edge into Broad Howe. Far down below us, we could see 3 little fox cubs playing in the sun. Sometimes one would grab another's tail like a kitten, and one would sit up and scratch its ears. Full of fleas, remarked Sandy. Then another would roll over on its back like a fat little puppy dog. The vixen was curled up asleep on top of a big boulder stone. Presently, one of our shepherds appeared a long way off, walking along the other side of the valley. The vixen slipped quietly off the rock, stole away over Freshwaite Mouth into Heartstop, a mile away from the cubs. She seemed to give no sound nor signal, but the little foxes vanished into the burn. Very pretty, charming. I wonder how many lambs' tails and legs there were in the larder, said Hannah Brighteyes sourly. They took over 30 one spring. Big lambs too, old enough to be tailed and marked. They had skinned a lamb with Mistress Healy's mark on its jacket, and there was part of one of Jimmy's ducks. I love the high places, said Bella Lingcropper. I remember when I was a lamb, I and my brother twin were feeding on Pavey Ark with our mother. We were feeding part way up. 2 climbing men came up behind us and below. I do not think they knew that they were driving us before them. We climbed and climbed in the chimney that had scarcely foothold for a goat. We reached a shelf some 4 feet from the top. Our mother jumped out nimbly. My brother followed her with difficulty. Time and time again I jumped, only to fall back onto the ledge above the precipice. Our mother bleated overhead. She moved to a spot where the wall of rock was lower. I followed sideways along the ledge, looking up at her and bleating. At the 3rd trial I jumped out. There was sweet grazing on the top. Cool is the air above the craggy summit, clear as the water the mountain keld. Green grows the grass in droughty days beneath the brackens. What through the hailstorms sweep the fell in winter, Through tempest, frost, or heat, we live our patient days' allotted span. Wild and free, as when the stone men told our puzzled early numbers, untamed, as when the Norsemen named our grazings in their stride, our little feet had ridged the slopes before the passing Romans. On through the fleeting centuries, when fresh blood came from Iceland, Spain, or Scotland, stubborn, unchanged, unbeaten, we have held the stony waste. Dunmail, Falls, Blue Joe, Westwater, Will and Thistle, Rawlins, Swarla, Wonder, old pride of Heavenlin, pass the tough lineage forward, keep the tarry woo unsoftened, hold the proud ancient heritage of our Herdwick sheep. Danke. Thank you for coming today. Hopefully we'll get the next chapter out next week. See you then. Auf Wiedersehen.